Hello, everybody. Today we are going to go through the first part of my lecture series on why the middle class Indian man in the 1950s had it far better than the middle class Indian man today. So, let me be first clarified to you that this series is going to be three videos. That is because it will be too long to be one video, and that in this series we shall cover the socio-economic, I would say, misdevelopment of India, which has put the middle class young man in a particularly peculiar situation. Now that he himself is worse off than his parents or his grandparents, and although it is told to us in large media that today we are doing far better than our grandparents, it is entirely untrue. And today I shall present to you it part 1, which will focus primarily on the economics, on why this is a wrong assertion with fact heavy sources. So now let us begin. So in the 1950s, we start off first with education. In the 1950s, a college degree meant a stable job, a family, a home, and dignity. Today's young men, they're drowning in debt, job insecurity, and legal traps. So what went wrong? Contrary to the popular culture image of 1950s, that is that it sucked for the middle class, a young educated middle class man like yourself may have been in terms of salary paid less, that is immediate monetary gain, may have been less, but overall you were far more wealthy and respected than you are today. So college education and government job in 1950s India. In this part of this lecture, we shall look on how a government education translated into a government job by looking at statistics which are often hidden from you. College access was extremely limited in 1950 to 1951. Now, this might seem as a big hindrance that if college education was limited, how did he get the education? How would I have gotten the education then? But what people forget is proportion matter. The proportion of the limitedness of college education then is more or less the same as the proportion of college education available to the part of the population today. There were 2 lakh 9,000 total students across universities and colleges nationwide. The male literacy rate was around 27%, meaning a college degree marked you as an essential elite. The government allocated, looking at the Madras state budget, 16 rupees and 3 paisa per student. That is total 6.87 crore to roll out education. This was serious state investment when you compare it to today. Admission translated to guaranteed status without any oversupply to dilute the quality or quantity of jobs. Today, what we are essentially dealing with is oversupply. More people are getting college education, although of varying quality, and they are entering into the field, while the number of jobs remain more or less the same. But the quality of the aspirants have increased manifold. So, what is the situation today? The gross enrollment ratio in higher education is only 23.6%. That might not seem a lot, but that's 33 million plus students across 38,000 colleges. Literacy has scored to 84.7% for males, but skills are shallow. Just 50% of graduates are employable, and vocational training covers only 3.8% of the workforce. Educated unemployment stands at 6.5% versus 0.2 among the illiterates. You are more likely to be educated if you are an illiterate, while to be educated if you have a degree or you are educated. Now you might say that you would get a better quality job, but as this lecture moves forward, you will understand that you were living in a delusion. So what's the bottom line? In 1950, a degree meant security, income, and social respect. And there were few degrees to go around. It meant a stable, prosperous life when converted to a government job. I have quoted India After Gandhi by Ramchandra Guha, the 2007 edition. I do understand some of you might have reservations about his politics, but he's just making objective quotations here. In 2025, a degree is necessary but insufficient. Costly, widely attained, yet often worthless in landing stable, meaningful jobs. The conversion rate of having a basic undergraduate education into a government job was fairly high. The amount of graduates were around 200,000 or 2 lakhs. This is according to the Education for All archives. But the amount of government jobs were around 70,000 in the same period. This is according to a research paper called Employment and Labor Productivity in India, which was published in late 90s. Today, the conversion rate of 30%, there was a conversion rate of 30% in, you would say, the 50s and the 60s. Today, it is less than 1%, according to the Deccan Herald's report on 21st July 2024. So, job then versus now, drowned by reservations and inclusion. I mean, suppose it's wrong to use inclusion, and you would focus more on the reservation part. The reserved quotas did not exist for OBC and women. Government jobs were, at a large proportion of the sum, merit-based, because, of course, a women reservation, particularly in high-standing institutions, is relatively new, only recently in the past decade, while OBC reservation only came around in the 1990s. An educated man in the 1950s could enter a public sector undertaking, railways or the administrative services, without competing with quota candidates in such a large number now that he has to do that. The civil services or the UPSC filed around 400 IAS, IPS, IFS posts annually, open to all, creating a fairly stable exclusive pathway for educated men. Since 1954, quotas have expanded dramatically. First, the inclusions of Brahmin and Buddhist and Sikh Dalits, typo there, into the scheduled caste one, then OBC postmental, EWS, and now many elite colleges have women reservation in India, such as Bihar and Tamil Nadu. In these states, reservation is touching 75%. The biggest political position in the country being in favor of it, and it appears that sooner or later it will be increased in the private sector as well. This is according to the book Caste as Social Capital. So, youth employment, I mistyped. Youth unemployment overall is 13.3%. Educated youth fare worse. 29% of graduates remain jobless. So 1 in 3 people, approximately, educated youth is unemployed. With quotas occupying majority seats in public jobs, educated general category men are forced into underpaid contract labor, jobs below qualification, also called underemployment, and migrate or gig economy or unemployment straightway. Some of you will say that this is because of this current government or the old government or the older government or Nehru or what else. But as this lecture further progresses, you will just find out that it is built into the system. Your apathy, the apathy towards you, your suffering is built into the system. So what's the bottom line? Government job is now a closed door. 1950s educated middle class men had access to secure, stable and merit-driven government roles, more or less. 2025 educated youth, especially without reservation backing, are locked out, competing for shrinking open category slots, which are most likely just to shrink further. While what was once a clear ladder is now cramped, quota-saturated bottleneck that punishes merit and limits possibilities. Furthermore, scholars have shown that no actual good has come from this form of affirmative action. For one can refer to the noted American economist Thomas Sowell, whose lecture on the Indian system you will find online. So what's the debt? Now the debt is a big thing these days. When we compare it to the older debt in older generations, you will find that you are absolutely fucked. Retail credits has surged from 12.1% of the GDP to 19.4% of it between 2017 and 2023. This is according to the Reserve Bank of India's own Financial Stability Report of 2023. Household debt hit 17.1% of the GDP, a record high in India's post-independence economic history. This is according to Indranil Bhaumik, Mint Analysis on Household Credit, published in 2024, so basically last year. Credit card debt crossed 2.9 lakh crore and late 2023. Personal loans up 75% in just 4 years. This is according to Manish Sabharwal's commentary on the India's credit bubble. Over 50% of borrowing is now unsecured, mostly by youth working contract jobs. This is again according to RBI's internal report on youth credit. 50% of borrowing is unsecured. There is no collateral against it, and it's usually by youth working contract jobs. These are not unemployed bums sitting at their homes. This is a bubble just waiting to burst, just like in 2008. And what happened? Who paid 2008? Young men did, like you and me. Young men are, like in basically every case in this country, the worst hit in this crisis. Loan penetration among young men under 35 doubled between 2015 and 2021 due to NBFCs and app-based lending. This is according to CMIE's report on youth indebtedness in India 2022. I might be a bit wrong, but more or less I suppose this will only has increased since then. We'll have to wait for the surveys to come out. 40% of Gen Z and 30% of millennials in India now carry some form of personal loan. Just imagine that. Most of Gen Z is below, all of Gen Z is below 25. 40% of Gen Z has some sort of personal loan. Take 10 friends of yours and 4 of them are probably indebted. Can you imagine how bad the situation is? And this is the generation which has not even breached 25 yet. This is insane. Typical borrower has 5.6 lakh in personal debt by age 29, often without stable income or collateral. This is going to Raghuram Rajan, who was the former governor of RBI. Now again, you may disagree with his political tendencies, but these are just statistical facts. This is insane. The typical borrower is below 29, he isn't even 30, and he's already 5.6 lakh in debt. Let me remind you of my last video. You can watch that. The typical employed Indian male, middle class, earns 6 lakh. That's a year of your life by the age of 29. You're a young man. What's happening? I researched this data, but now that I look at it, it's just mind-boggling. How is this being allowed to happen? How is the young Indian man, who has already given so much for this country, being choked with his... But let's be very frank, he's grabbed by the balls. Now, coming back, saving collapse, EMIs rise. The household savings have dropped to 5.3% of the GDP, which is the lowest since the 1970s. This is according to the NIPFP, which is the national, this is basically a government body. Working paper number 428, published in 2023, available online. Young men income is consumed by EMIs, that is extra monthly payments. Car, phone, home education, all on credit card. This is according to Kaushik Basu's India's Silent Household Debt Crisis, published in 2024, that is last year. You are fucked, my man. The promise of buy now, pay later has led to stress-related disorders and emotional breakdowns among male borrowers aged 22 to 35. This is according to the Indian Journal of Psychiatry's article, Debt-Induced Depression in Urban Youth. Could you have imagined your grandfather in his early 20s having a mental breakdown on over if he will be able to just pay the next bill? No, it's insane. None of that. He had a social security network around him. You have nothing. The only one you have is to yourself, looking at yourself crying in the mirror because you cannot pay. You don't have money to have basic necessities. That's why buy now, pay later has been introduced. Buy now, pay later for what? For what? A bag of bread? Has this what the Indian young man has been reduced to under consequent governments and boomer Raj? Continuing this, Siddhant Pai in the ET quotes a young man who writes, "Bank didn't trap us, they offered the rope, we tied the knots." I disagree. I think they tied the knots around you, but they tricked you into believing that there's a fault of your own and not there. The Indian personal debt is now 43% of the GDP, dangerously high in an economy where job security is collapsing. This according to Vivek Kaul's Loan Nation, India's Bubble Economy, 2024, published last year. Debt recovery abuse, suicide cases linked to fintech harassment, and public complaints have doubled since 2021. This is according to the National Human Rights Commission's report on loan apps. Deaths 2023, 2 years before, probably have increased so far, as you can see the news reports on these topics. Now let us be a little more depressed and compare it to the 1950s. Compare how we were doing to our grandfathers. There were zero EMIs, housing, marriage and consumer goods were paid in cash, or at least in the money that you already had deposited in your bank. So basically you weren't a slave. Now this is fucking amazing. Just look at this data. Land cost in Delhi in 1953 was 1.25 square yards. A 100 square yard plot was 125 rupees. This is according to the Delhi Gazetteer of 1953. The average government clerk salary was 100 to 150 a month. Could buy land with 1 year's income. 10 to 15 this is according to the Government of India Salary Commission Report 1955. I want you to imagine this for me. A government clerk buying land in Delhi in his 1 year's income. 1 year! Can you imagine this? Even today, guys in huge IT positions earning lakhs can't afford this. Back then, a literal clerk who has been presented to you as being the bottom of the government hierarchy could purchase land in Delhi in 1 year of his income salary. And this is according to Government of India's own report. This is insane. This is how they have robbed you. There were no credit cards. There were no digital lendings. There were no consumer loans. Household debt was just 19% of the wealth. Again, RBI's own data in 1951, All India Debt and Investment Survey. Available online in the archives. The saving rate was high. Even working class homes invested in gold, cattle or land. This is according to T.T. Krishnamachari, Intern Budget Speech 1955. Can you imagine a working class home today buying gold or cattle or land? No, because they will be just paying in a jhuggi jopadi, just trying to get by, just trying to send their children to the shittiest school ever, right? Where their girl will be twerking in front of cameras with her chapri girls, and the boy will be doing chapri pana on like a borrowed bike, which he has because he got a fucking EMI. Insane. Even working, have you bought any gold? Do you have the money to buy fucking cattle or land? Fucking working class families in 1950s could buy land. Can you? No, you can't. So much for abusing working class people today. Even you can't buy these things. So psychological freedom, no credit score, no CIBIL, no harassment. Basically, they were free men. You, on the other hand, are a slave who were constantly told that you were freer than your grandparents were. What's the 2025 middle class man doing? EMIs consume 30 to 40% of his monthly income. Again, according to the working class paper 428. Housing cost up to 400 more times in real income. Same plot in Delhi would now cost 1.2 crore. This is according to the DLF and NCR Property Index report of 2024. Salaries have not kept pace. Most graduates earn 35 to 40k a month. Average debt per borrower under 35 is 5.6 lakh. The credit card and personal loan exceeds 2.9 lakh crore. Again, according to RBI's own data. Default rates are rising. Young men are being chased by loan app recovery agents. National Human Rights Commission report 2023. Digital slavery. Your future depends on a 3-digit CIBL score. One slip, no home, no car, no dignity. That is what you have been reduced to. And you are being constantly lied that you are doing better than your grandparents were doing in the 50s. Now, the destruction of the middle class Indian dream. The destruction of the career ladder, which has now fallen down. You should not be surprised to know that the IES UPSC dream is basically dead. 0.2% selection rate, lakhs and crores of aspirants. Sorry, friends, I had kind of zoned out there for a minute, and the reason for this is it's actually quite simple. That is because these are recorded live sessions, and I don't have a script. I'm just reading the data I have gathered, which I have presented on the slides. And sometimes certain obstructions rise up, for which I have to physically remove myself from the recording session to deal with. Such an obstruction rose up, and therefore I had to kind of go away from my recording place. But now we are back, and let's continue forward. I will give the warning in the final upload. So, the career ladder has fallen down, the destruction of the middle class Indian dream. You should not be surprised to know that the IES UPSC dream is dead. But hey, you don't mind that. You just want a small, modest public job. Nothing fancy, just basic pay, social security, net, and respect from society. Well, think again, bucko, because that is not happening. Vacancies are piling up, and you get nothing but an absolute kick to the gut. Now, let us move forward. No job here, collapse of the salaried employee. The SSC CGL 2022, 30 lakh applicants for 20,000 posts, according to Goyal Staff's Select Commission annual statistics. So these are annual government statistics. These are not just some random leftist guy has picked up. These are statistics released by the government itself. Railways Group D in 2022, 1.25 crore applicants for 1.39 lakh posts. That's a 1 in 120 odds, worse than some fucking lotteries, according again to Ranjan's RB data analysis 2023, government data, not some leftist bozo I picked up the street. UPP Police Constable 2024, 48 lakh candidates for 60,000 jobs. That's over an 80% oversubscription. This is from Kumar, UP Police Exam Briefing 2024. A minister himself just giving a brief to the public, brief to the general masses, plebeians, I suppose, like us who pay their bills. The clerk and LDC jobs for a basic salary of 25,000. Basic salary attracts graduates, engineers, and even postgraduates in droves due to lack of alternatives. This is in Mishra Deprofessionalization of Government Recruitment 2023. 25,000 rupees. You earn that much doing fucking Zomato deliveries, and this is attracting postgraduates. These are just some numbers. Across the union, state numbers are even worse. Let's be frank, brother, you're not getting any time anywhere soon. A decent life is not available. Sorry for you. Sorry for myself. The no promotion phenomenon. You somehow grabbed a job here and there. I don't know, you pieced through it. You gave lakhs as commission to some officer, some babu. But now you will surely get some stuff, right? You will surely get, at least you will get promotions in time. Well, again, that is not happening, friend. In state secretariats, that is secretariats of the government, state governments, like for example, Rajasthan State Secretariat is in Jaipur, UP is in Lucknow, Falana Dhingana. Clerks wait 12 to 15 years for a single promotion to section officer, even with quote excellent service records. This is Sharma, State Administrative Profession Promotion Audit 2022. This is government data. Look, man, I don't want to demean anyone who is doing an honest day's work for his family, but a clerk is not that important. He should not have to wait 12 to 15 years for a single fucking promotion. But yet he has to. Yet you will have to. If you get the salary of the post of a clerk, not respected by anyone. Group C employees in railways and revenue often retire at the same grade they entered due to congestion and zero fast track option. Saxena, Rail Bhavan Internal Memo on Stagnation 2021, government data. Imagine entering a service when you're 20, retiring when you're 60, and your pay is the same. Your grade is the same. The respect you get is the same. You have to salute people far younger than you within your own service. This is the life you are getting if you somehow manage to get in the railways, which is in itself a huge rush. Many Group D staff are quote stuck for life despite qualifying for internal exams. Reservation backlogs and seniority freeze progression. Kumar Bihar Subordinate Services Survey 2023, government data. So, if you somehow destroyed your entire youth, bend it over backwards studying for a government examination, reading and learning over and over Vairana Sangha, lost, and then you somehow squeeze in a government position, even if there is no financial security, at least not enough that you deserve. Man, come on, if you work 30 years in a government job, you deserve to go up the pay grade now, don't you? That is a basic human right. Promotions are blocked by court cases, backlog of SC, ST, OBC reservations, pension scheme disputes, falana dhinkana. Basically, you get nothing. That is what matters to you. I'm sorry, man. A case of a fucking random boomer against another boomer, it doesn't matter to me. I have worked 12 years. Give me a goddamn promotion. The pay stagnates, especially under the National Pension Scheme and NPS, leaving workers anxious about old age. Srivastav, NPS, and the unpromoted middle class worker 2024. Again, these are all backed by sources, government data. All of this is available online. I will surely put a bibliography in the description also. Private jobs. Well, at least the private jobs, they should produce something. They should produce me some sort of, economic upfill. We are constantly being told about how the IT revolution raised millions out of poverty. I mean, I'm a hard worker. I should get something. You're getting tech, that's what you're getting. India produces 1.5 crore degree holders annually, but only 15 to 20% get formal private sector employment. Saxena National Sample NSO Employment Survey 2023 government data. This is government data telling you in the face that you are fucked. But hey man, I'm sure you're more interested in what a Pakistani immigrants do India's bra sizes or bra color is. Kind of not going to lie. 60% of private sector workers earn less than 15,000. 60% earn less than 15k per month. Often without PF, ESI or job security. Abram State of Working India report 2023. 60% of private sector workers earn less than 15k a month. Less than 15k a month. You cannot even get like a 1 BHK on 15k anymore. But that's what people are earning. People are living like fucking dogs. Young men like you are living like dogs. But hey, we are in Vish Guru Pajit land, the gynecological republic of India. You work 10-12 hours, answer emails on weekends, and still have no chance of promotion unless you network or brand nose. At least you should get a promotion in a private service. You work hard, your government, your boss over you values you, your conglomerate values you, they'll get you a promotion, they'll get you take, that's what they will get you. And let me, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional, I should look objectively at the data. But it's just that the data it's just so infuriating. Killing private job growth. Private job is not growing at all. Private sector job creation declined sharply post 2016. In core sectors like manufacturing, growth is negative. Let me remind you, manufacturing and industrial growth is the domain which provides the majority of decent livelihoods to young middle class men. Manufacturing, factories, smoke in the air. 10-minute grocery deliveries do not provide anything to anyone. At least they only provide VC funding to the owner. IT and services hire in bulk but fire hire in silent. 2002 to 2024 saw over 2.5 lakh layoffs in tech and finance alone. Jan-March layout in India's IT sector 2024 last year's data. Median salary for fresh graduates in a private firm is 21,000, which has been stagnant for 8 years. Niti Aayog government data. Youth earnings audit 2023. Do you think that your grandfather would have had stagnated monthly salary which doesn't provide him with basically anything for 8 years straight? No, he would not have had, but you do, and you are being constantly told that you are doing better. No, you're not. You're getting fucked. This is the end of part 1. This is honestly still a huge video. I suppose this must have reached 30 minutes of recording by now. I'm not looking at the recording data. This part focused on economics. The next part is going to focus on social aspect, especially how he commanded more respect with his spouse, family and children when compared to you, and how at the same stage he was well respected in society, while you get spat upon, disrespected and constantly shamed in all of your futures and all of your endeavors, in your basic dignity, in your basic existence basically. The third part will focus on proprietorship and how he at the same stage of career at you was able to purchase property and acquire land even while his salary was low, and entered into being part of the proletariat class, which you will never do. You are never going to own property, my friend. Your grandfather did at the same stage at you. And this was a depressing bit, and I will release the 2 parts probably somewhere in the next week. They're probably not going to be this long, but they're going to be long nevertheless. मैं किसी से मांगता नहीं हूँ मुझे सब्सक्राइब करें, because I don't want subscribers. It would be nice if I have some people listening to me, but you look at the data and you look at it over and over again, and you research and you write, and you are just flabbergasted on how much this country hates its young men, while constantly telling that actually young men hate young women or the country hate young women. It is in reality young men who are getting kicked to the balls. Watch my previous video. Women are basically getting everything for free in this country, and you are being shot in the fucking head. Do not let them gaslight you into believing that you are superior, or that this country puts you on a pedestal. This country puts you in the fucking gutter and then puts its boots over your head. So, you can subscribe if you want, or you want more fact-driven data. I'm also thinking of that's pretty much it. I have nothing else to say. I'm sorry, but the data says for itself. Goodbye, and have a great day, my friend. You're going to need the luck.